My name is Motheo and I'm a cinematographer. I'm a filmmaker. I shoot films, I shoot commercials, I shoot music videos, I shoot documentaries, and yeah, I'm a DOP. People would often say I'm a cameraman for the pure fact that I'm the person handling the camera. But in an extensive way, what I do is I have to amplify directors' visions with camera movement, with the actual camera, with lighting. So I tell stories with lights, cameras, camera movement, composition, yeah. So to a 5-year-old, I'd say I creatively tell stories using a camera. Soon after high school, I went and studied photography. So I've always been interested in images, but it was never something I thought was a possible career choice. So soon after high school, I went and I studied photography. And while I was at photography school, so closer to the end of photography school, our lecturers were asking us what type of photography we want to get into when we leave school. And I was uncertain. Because I loved photography so much, I was not ready to work as a photographer. I didn't think I was good enough to actually work as a photographer immediately after photography school. So I overheard someone speak about cinematography and say that there's this thing called cinematography, and I'd always liked films, but I didn't know that the person who handles the camera and tells the story visually is known as a cinematographer. So I went home, I went to my parents, I said, "Hi Ma, I don't want to work when this course is done. I want to go study further. I want to go study filmmaking and major in cinematography." So after photography school, I went and I studied cinematography, and I realized then actually that this is something I'd want to do for the rest of my life. I really love photography, possibly more than cinematography, but I love it too much for it to be my job, because my fear was, what if I don't make enough money to make a living out of this thing that I love so much? I'll end up hating it. So I do a lot of photography, and I'm actually happier with the photography I do now because it isn't my job. And cinematography has become my love, because it's what I do every day and I can't see myself doing anything else. It obviously differs from commercials to music videos to actual feature films or films. But an average day is based on me arriving on set. It's usually very early, having breakfast. Then immediately after that, linking up with the director, having a conversation with the director about how our day is looking and what our plan is for the day. Whether it's scene to scene, we'll discuss how we're gonna go about it. So once I've had that conversation with the director, I then have a conversation with my grip, with my camera department, and with my lighting department. So the lighting department, I'll obviously let them know what scene we're going to be shooting or whatever, and how I would like them to light the scene. With the grips, obviously what type of grips we're going to require for that scene. And then with my camera department, usually I'd say what lens they should put on, and yeah. So that's the average day. And as the day goes on, I guess it requires me to have a close relationship with my director, because God hates filmmakers. So often the case is things will go wrong. So my job requires me to quickly adapt and to be constantly creative and come up with solutions for whatever problems there are. The hardest part of my job is thinking on your feet. It's being able to come up with solutions very quickly. The hardest part of my job, especially because it's a creative industry, it's up for criticism, because naturally everyone views the world differently. There's no right or wrong way when it comes to creativity. There's your way, right? So the hardest part of my job is having to do something that is so personal, but to convince so many people that this is the best way it needs to look, right? So having to think on your feet and be creative is the hardest and the best part of my job, or what I do. It's not a job, it's what I do. The concept of taking something a writer or director has put on paper and then making it a whole world. So I'm really intrigued by the idea of how we view things and how we view the world. So when I hit a script or a treatment or whatever, I'm always like really excited, because I need to now amplify what this person has put down, right? So they said that this is how they want it, this is how they see it. Now my job is, how do I take what they've seen and make it even better, right? So that's what really excites me, the idea that every day on set is going to be different. There'll be different challenges on every day, and I'm really excited by that. Hence, I guess I chose the industry I chose, because no 2 days are alike, and there's infinite possibilities in what I do, so that really excites me. Usually when people say they want to be a cinematographer or filmmaker, I usually say, obviously you must be crazy, like why why would you want to do that? Why? So if people really want to do what I do, the first thing, I guess, obviously is it's based on your intent and your passion. And when you want to be a filmmaker or storyteller, your intentions should be pure, right? Because the stories you want to tell should be original, should push human beings to become better people, or should highlight certain things about the world that we are living in, right? There's no one way of doing what I do. There's people who do it exceptionally well and never studied it. I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I was able to study filmmaking and cinematography, and it's still something I highly recommend if you do have the opportunity to, if you can afford it, because it is a very expensive industry to get into because of the equipment. So studying it tends to be quite expensive too, but if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend that you study it, because studying gives you an opportunity to argue points in a very knowledgeable way. So there's experience, but being able to argue a point in a knowledgeable way and in a technical way always gives you like a starting point, you know. But like I said, there's people who have done it without studying it. So first and foremost, if your interest is to make money, it's definitely the wrong industry to try and get into, because as much as there is a lot of money in the industry, but it's really difficult because the working hours are intense, and so the working hours are long, it's intense, it's very physical, and because it's such a personal thing, it's not numbers, there's no format. There's no actual right way of doing it, and because it's so personal, you're working with real people. So tempers often get high, you know. So what really drives you and what keeps you going is the fact that this is the only thing you want to do. So the passion is really something is the starting point. My work is online. My work appears on, I guess it's on TV, it's online, it's on cinema. Like I said, I do lots of different things, from music videos to, I also have a Vimeo page that people can check out. It's Motheo on Vimeo. I also have my work on a site with other cinematographers under an agency that we signed under. So if you go to exposurecrew.tv and you look under Motheo Moyeng, you'll see my work there. And yeah, online, television, cinema, Just Google my name, those things will pop up.